The bright screens of the observatory glowed in the dim light as Hana moved her slender fingers across the control panel. The Nexari science vessel had orbited Earth for 3 months now, carefully hidden behind advanced cloaking technology. Hana's role as chief xenobiologist was to observe and catalog human behavior from a safe distance. "Another signal detected," she reported, her voice musical in the quiet room. "These humans broadcast constantly." Director Sung looked up from his station, his crystalline eyes reflecting the blue light of Earth below. "Remember your training, Hana? Curiosity about the quarantined worlds has ended many promising careers." Hana nodded but couldn't help feeling drawn to the planet below. The Nexari Confederation had strict rules about contact with developing worlds, and Earth was classified as particularly dangerous. Humans were considered unpredictable, emotional, and potentially violent. Yet something about their transmissions fascinated her. Their music especially seemed to touch something deep within her being. When alone, she would secretly tune into their broadcasts, learning their languages and customs against regulations. "The Council has approved a limited collection mission," Director Sung announced during the next cycle briefing. "We need fresh biological samples from the northern continent." Hana immediately volunteered, ignoring the warning glance from her colleague June. She had studied Earth longer than anyone else on the ship. She knew it was her best chance to see the planet up close. "Take the small scout craft," Sung instructed. "Maintain altitude of 5,000 meters. No landings, no contact." The scout ship was sleek and silent as Hana guided it through Earth's upper atmosphere. She followed her programmed route, collecting air samples and scanning the forests below. Everything was proceeding perfectly until a sudden storm formed over the mountains. "Warning, atmospheric disturbance," the ship's computer announced. Hana tried to adjust course, but something struck the ship's wing. Lightning perhaps, or some debris. The craft lurched sideways, systems flickering. "Return to base protocol engaged," the computer announced, but Hana could tell by the red warnings flashing across her screens that the ship wouldn't make it. She fought the controls as the craft plummeted toward the forest below. The impact was brutal. Pain shot through her body as the cockpit crumpled. Around her, emergency systems deployed a protective gel, saving her life but not preventing injury. Hours passed as she drifted in and out of consciousness. Her exoskeleton had cracked along her right side, leaking the pale blue fluid that circulated through her body. Her neural implant flickered, unable to connect with the main ship. She was stranded, injured, and alone on a forbidden world. Tuo, sound of breaking branches startled her fully awake. Something approached the crash site. Hana reached for her defense shield, but it was damaged beyond repair. A face appeared at the broken viewport, a human male. Hana froze. First contact was forbidden, yet she was too weak to hide or flee. The human's eyes widened as he saw her. He spoke words her damaged translator couldn't process. Then, using careful movements, he began clearing debris from around the cockpit. Hana assessed her options. She was too injured to survive without assistance. Her ship's systems were offline, and no rescue would come until she could repair her communications array. She made a decision that violated every protocol she had sworn to uphold. She allowed the human to help her. His name, she eventually learned, was Tae. He was a wildlife researcher who lived alone in a small cabin several kilometers from the crash site. He carried her there with surprising gentleness, seeming more curious than afraid of her alien form. In his simple dwelling, he tended to her wounds, offering water and watching carefully as she tested whether it was compatible with her biology. It was barely. The Nexari and humans were more similar than the Confederation scientists had theorized. As her neural implant slowly repaired itself, it began translating his speech. "You're safe here," Tae told her, his voice low and kind. "No, one comes to this valley." Hana knew she should feel fear or disgust at this forbidden contact. Instead, she felt something new, a strange connection to this alien being who had saved her life without hesitation. "My people warned me about humans," she said when her translator finally worked. "They said you were dangerous." Tae smiled slightly. "Maybe they were right, but not all danger is bad." Sometimes it's just the unknown. As night fell over the forest, Hana looked up at the stars, knowing the Nexari ship would be searching for her. She had broken the most sacred law of her people. Yet somehow, lying injured in this simple human dwelling, she felt she might have discovered something more valuable than any regulation. Days passed in the small cabin as Hana's injuries slowly healed. The crack in her exoskeleton had sealed itself, though the blue markings around the wound still glowed faintly when she moved. Tay watched with fascination as her alien biology repaired itself in ways no human could. "Your people must have amazing medicine," he said one morning while changing the bandages he had fashioned for her. "We evolved differently," Hana explained. Her translator now worked perfectly, converting her musical language into human speech. "Our bodies contain repair systems that activate when damaged." Tay nodded, offering her a cup of water. He had been careful not to overwhelm her with questions, though his eyes revealed his burning curiosity. "I should not be speaking with you," Hana said suddenly. "My people have strict laws about contact with developing worlds." "Developing?" Tay smiled. "Is that what we are to you? Your species has not yet mastered space travel beyond your own solar system. You fight wars over resources that the galaxy has in abundance. The Confederation considers Earth dangerous." Tay sat beside her, not too close. He had learned that Nexari were uncomfortable with proximity. "And what do you consider us?" Hana paused, her crystalline eyes shifting color slightly as she thought. "I find humans surprising." In the days that followed, Hana worked to repair her communication device while Tay continued his research. He would leave in the mornings to check his wildlife cameras and collect samples, returning with stories about the forest creatures. Hana found herself looking forward to these tales. One evening, Tay brought something new into the cabin, a small device that he placed on the table. "What is this?" Hana asked. "Music," he replied, pressing a button. "You said your people communicate through a kind of shared consciousness. I wonder what you'll think of how we connect." The sound that filled the cabin was unlike anything in Nexari culture. Rich, complex tones that rose and fell in patterns that seemed both chaotic and perfectly ordered. Hana felt her inner membranes flutter in response. "This is affecting my neural patterns," she said, surprised. "Good or bad?" "Different. We have sound, but not like this. Not for pleasure." Tay smiled. "Music is how we share feelings when words aren't enough." That night, Hana made a decision. She showed Tay her neural interface explaining how Nexari shared thoughts and information directly. It was strictly forbidden to reveal such technology to non-Confederation species. "Our scientists believe humans could not handle telepathic connection," she explained. "That your individual minds would resist or break under collective consciousness." "Maybe we would," Tay admitted. "We value our individuality even when it separates us." The next day, while testing her repaired communicator, Hana received a message that sent cold fear through her system. The Nexari ship had detected her active signal. They were coming. "I must leave," she told Tay urgently. "My people will find me soon. If they discover I've had contact with a human, what will they do?" Tay asked, his face showing concern. Hana looked away. "They will eliminate all evidence of the contact. They would kill me? And anyone else who knows about me. The Confederation considers knowledge of advanced species too dangerous for worlds like Earth." Tay was quiet for a long moment. "Is that what you believe too?" The question struck Hana deeply. Before landing on Earth, she would have agreed without hesitation. Now, having experienced human kindness firsthand, seeing their capacity for acceptance of the unknown, she wasn't certain. That night, Hana detected a Nexari probe scanning the forest. It was only a matter of time before they located her crash. Sidon followed the trail to the cabin. She needed to leave before they found Tay. As dawn approached, she gathered her repaired equipment. "I will tell them my translator was damaged," she said. "That I had no contact with natives." Tay stood in the doorway, watching her. "Will you remember us as dangerous primitives?" Hana approached him, closer than she had ever been to a human. I will remember that when I was injured and alone, a human helped me without question. I will remember your music and how it made me feel things my people have forgotten. In a gesture she had learned from watching Tay, she extended her hand toward him. He took it gently, the warm human skin strange against her cooler, smooth surface. My people warned me never to speak with humans, she said softly. They were right to warn me. Why? Tay asked. Because now I understand too much. I cannot see your world the same way they do. A distant sound broke the moment, the hum of a Nexari shuttle. Hana quickly stepped away. They cannot find you here, she said urgently. We must separate now. As she moved toward the door, Tay called after her. Will I see you again? Hana paused, knowing the correct answer, the safe answer. Instead, she said, I will try. Hana stood before Director Sung on the main deck of the Nexari vessel, her posture perfect, betraying none of the turmoil inside her. The recovery team had found her walking alone in the forest, her story of survival ready. Your crash caused significant concern, Director Sung said, his tone even. The humans have satellites that could have detected the wreckage. I disabled all systems before impact, Hana replied. And the forest canopy provided sufficient cover. Sung studied her with his crystalline eyes. The medical scan shows your body has undergone changes. Adaptation to Earth's environment has begun. Hana knew this was true. She could feel the differences. Her respiratory system had modified to process Earth's higher oxygen levels. Her skin had adjusted to the planet's radiation patterns. These were normal Nexari adaptive responses, but they also created a permanent record of her time on Earth. The changes are minimal, she said. They will reverse once we leave orbit. Later, in her private quarters, Hana reviewed the data from her neural interface. During her time with Tay, it had recorded everything. Their conversations, the human's behavior, even the music he had shared. According to regulations, she should submit all this information to the Confederation archives. Instead, she stored it in a private partition, hidden from the standard network. 3 days passed as the ship continued its mission, scanning Earth from a safe distance. Hana resumed her duties, analyzing data collected from various regions, but her thoughts kept returning to the small cabin in the forest, to the human who had shown her kindness without obligation. You seem distracted, said June, her fellow scientist, as they monitored atmospheric readings. The crash affected me more than I expected, Hana answered carefully. That night, when the ship entered its rest cycle, Hana made her way to the small craft bay. Using her override codes, she prepared a scout vessel for launch. What she was doing violated multiple Confederation laws, but something stronger than duty drove her actions. The small craft slipped away from the main ship, its signature masked as a debris scan. Hana guided it down through Earth's atmosphere, following the path to the familiar forest. She landed a safe distance from Tay's cabin and made her way through the trees, remembering the route perfectly. The cabin windows glowed with warm light as she approached. Through the glass, she could see Tay working at his desk, surrounded by research notes. Hesitating only briefly, she knocked on the door. His face when he saw her showed surprise, then joy, then concern. Hana? How are you here? Is it safe? No, she admitted, stepping inside. It is not safe, but I needed to return. That night, Hana experienced something new. She shared a meal with a human. Though much of Earth's food was incompatible with her biology, Tay had studied her physiological needs and found fruits and plants she could safely consume. I've been thinking about your people, Tay said as they sat by his small fireplace. A species that shares consciousness must see individuality very differently than we do. We value collective harmony, Hana explained. Personal desires are considered primitive instincts to be controlled. Yet you're here, Tay observed quietly, following what seems very much like a personal desire. Hana's skin flushed slightly blue, the Nexari equivalent of a blush. Yes, I am experiencing irregularities in my thought patterns. Tay smiled. Humans just call that feeling. Later, Tay showed her his research, detailed studies of Earth's ecosystems and how they responded to climate change. Hana was impressed by the depth of his understanding despite lacking advanced technology. Your people could help save species that are vanishing, Tay said. Share knowledge that would take us centuries to discover. That is exactly what the Confederation fears, Hana replied. Interfering with natural development. What if the knowledge leads to weapons, to greater destruction, or to solutions? Tay countered. To better choices. The conversation continued. Long into the night, Hana found herself sharing more about Nexari culture than any human should know. Their art forms, their history, their journey from individual beings to a connected consciousness. Sometimes I wonder what we lost, she admitted, when we decided emotions were too dangerous and began suppressing them through our neural networks. What happens when a Nexari feels too strongly? Tay asked. They are adjusted, their neural patterns realigned to maintain harmony. Tay reached out slowly, his fingers stopping just short of touching her hand. Is that what will happen to you? If they discover these irregularities? Hana didn't answer immediately. The truth was frightening. Yes, I would be considered contaminated by human influence. In the early morning light, Hana stood to leave. Her absence from the ship would soon be noticed. I have broken many rules by returning, she said, but I needed to understand what I experienced here. And do you understand it now? Tay asked. Hana looked at him, her eyes shifting to a deep violet, a color change Tay had never seen before. No, she said softly, but I wish to learn more. As she turned to go, her neural implant suddenly buzzed with an urgent message. Unauthorized departure detected. Return immediately. Isolation protocols in effect. The Nexari had discovered her absence. The forest echoed with the distant hum of Nexari search drones as Hana and Tay moved quickly between the trees. She had returned to his cabin just long enough to warn him of the danger. They know I came back, she explained, gathering only essential items. They will track my ship and find this location soon. Tay grabbed his backpack, stuffing it with food, water, and a first aid kit. Where can we go? Somewhere their sensors cannot penetrate. Natural formations that block our technology. They fled into the night, heading toward the mountains that rose beyond the forest. Hana's knowledge of Nexari search patterns guided their path, while Tai's understanding of the terrain kept them moving safely through the difficult landscape. There are caves in these mountains, Tay said as they climbed a steep path. Old mining tunnels, too. Would those work? Yes. Certain mineral deposits interfere with our scanning technology. By dawn, they had reached higher ground. Tay led them to a narrow opening in the rock face, barely visible behind thick vegetation. Inside, the cave opened into a larger chamber. We should be safe here for now, Hana said, her skin glowing faintly in the darkness. The iron content in these rocks will mask our presence. As Tai set up a small portable light, he studied Hana's worried expression. What will your people do when they find us? Hana's eyes dimmed slightly. Director Sung will follow contamination protocol. Any human who has had contact with advanced technology must be processed. Processed? Their memories altered. All knowledge of the Nexari removed. Tay sat down heavily on a rock, and if they resist, Hana couldn't meet his eyes. More permanent measures are authorized. Outside, the faint buzzing of drones grew closer, then faded as they passed over the cave without detecting anything. Hana's neural implant remained silent. The cave's mineral composition blocked the Nexari communication network as she had hoped. They spent the day in the cave, speaking in hushed tones. Hana explained more about the Confederation, how it governed hundreds of worlds across the galaxy, maintaining a careful balance of power and knowledge. Most species are allowed to join only after they've achieved certain technological milestones, she said, and proven they can use them responsibly. Let me guess, Tay replied. Humans aren't considered responsible. Your history contains two Many examples of technological advancement leading to destruction. And yours doesn't? Hana hesitated. The official history does not. But there are restricted archives, stories of the time before the unification that suggest otherwise. As night fell, they ventured out briefly for fresh air. The stars shone brightly above the mountains, and Hana pointed out the sector where her homeworld existed. Have you ever questioned their rules before? Tay asked. Never, Hana admitted. Until I met you. The sound of an approaching vehicle broke the moment. Headlights cut through the darkness on the road below. Park rangers, Tay whispered. They must have spotted the search drones. Unusual activity in a protected forest would trigger an investigation. They retreated back into the cave, but the damage was done. Human authorities were now aware something strange was happening in the area. Their hiding place would not remain secret for long. The next morning, Hana's neural implant suddenly activated, breaking through the cave's interference. Director Sung's voice filled her mind. We have tracked your vessel, Hana. We know you returned to the human. This violation cannot be tolerated. Hana didn't respond, but the connection remained open. The human must be contained before further contamination spreads. A team has been dispatched. We need to move, Hana told Tay urgently. They've found my ship and are sending enforcers. They gathered their few belongings and fled deeper into the cave system. Tay's flashlight revealed that the caves connected to old mining tunnels, creating a maze beneath the mountain. These tunnels lead to the other side, Tay explained. We can exit miles from here. As they navigated the dark passages, Hana noticed her skin beginning to change. The luminescence that normally appeared only at night was growing brighter, more persistent. Her adaptive biology was continuing to modify itself for Earth conditions, creating changes that would soon become irreversible. Something's happening to you, Tay said, noticing her altered appearance. Extended exposure to Earth's environment is triggering deep adaptations, she explained. If it continues, I may not be able to return to my original form. The realization struck them both at the same time. The longer they remained together, the more permanent their connection became, and the more impossible any return to their former lives. Hours later, they emerged from the tunnels onto the opposite side of the mountain. In the valley below, lights from a small town glowed in the distance. More humans, Hana said nervously. We need help, Tay replied, and I know someone there we might be able to trust. As they started down the slope, a bright light suddenly illuminated the night sky. A Nexari enforcement vessel breaking through the cloud cover, searching for them. The pursuit was intensifying. The small town nestled in the valley looked peaceful in the early morning light. Tai led Hana to a modest house on the outskirts, constantly looking over his shoulder for signs of pursuit. My friend Minho works at the University Research Center, Tai explained as they approached. He studies atmospheric anomalies. If anyone will believe us, it's him. Minho's shocked expression when he opened the door quickly turned to amazement as he took in Hana's clearly non-human features. Her skin now glowed with a permanent blue sheen, and her eyes shifted colors with her emotions. I always knew it, Minho whispered, stepping aside to let them in. I've tracked unusual patterns in our upper atmosphere for years. Your people have been watching us, haven't they? Hana nodded. The Nexari Confederation observes many developing worlds. Inside, Hana used components from Minho's equipment to create a basic communication device. She needed to make contact with the Nexari ship before the enforcers took more drastic action. Director Sung will not listen to reason, she said as she worked. But there are others who might. Others? Tay asked. Scientists like me. Those who have studied Earth longer, who question the old rules. The device hummed to life. Hana adjusted the frequency to bypass the main communication channels, sending her message directly to a private network used by the research team. This is xenobiologist Hana. I request emergency conversation with senior researcher Day. Hours passed with no response. Outside, reports came in of strange lights in the sky. Local news channels showed blurry images of what people thought were weather balloons or experimental aircraft. The Nexari search was becoming harder to hide. That night, as Tae and Minho slept, Hana's device suddenly activated. "This is Day," came a quiet voice. "Your actions have created quite a crisis, Hana. I need you to listen," Hana said urgently. "Everything we believed about humans is incomplete. They are not simply dangerous primitives. The Confederation's position is clear." "The Confederation is wrong," Hana interrupted. "I've experienced their culture directly. Yes, they can be unpredictable, but that same quality makes them creative, adaptive." There was a long pause before Day responded. "You are not the first to make unauthorized contact, Hana." The words stunned her. "What?" "A group of us have been studying direct human interaction for many cycles, in secret. What you've discovered by accident, others have been documenting systematically." Hope surged through Hana. "Then you understand why the quarantine should end?" "Understanding and changing policy are very different things. Director Sung has called for sterilization of the contaminated area. The council is considering approval." Terror replaced hope. Sterilization meant the complete erasure of all evidence, including Tai, Minho, and their entire town. "There must be another way," Hana pleaded. "There might be," Day replied, "but it requires significant risk. Can your human friends be trusted with something of great importance?" The next morning, Hana explained the plan to Tai and Minho. They would need to meet the Nexari ship at a specific location, an open field outside town. Day and others who shared their views would be there, but so would Director Sung and his enforcers. "It's dangerous," Hana admitted, "but it may be our only chance." As dusk fell, they made their way to the meeting point. The field lay open and vulnerable under the darkening sky. Hana's skin glowed brighter with anxiety. "Whatever happens," she told Tae quietly, "knowing you has changed me forever." The air shimmered as a Nexari vessel decloaked above them. It descended slowly, touching down with barely a sound. The door opened to reveal Director Sung, flanked by security personnel, their faces cold and distant. "Step away from the humans, Hana," Sung commanded. "Your rehabilitation begins immediately." Hana stood her ground. "No. This violation cannot stand. These humans have knowledge that threatens the balance of power." "Knowledge that could help them avoid our mistakes," Hana countered. "They deserve the chance to choose their own path." Director Sung moved forward. "The council has authorized sterilization. This area will be cleansed." "That won't be necessary," came a new voice. Another Nexari emerged from the ship, senior researcher Day, followed by several other scientists. They moved to stand beside. "Hana, what is this?" Sung demanded. "A new proposal," Day replied calmly. "One the council has not yet considered." Day revealed what Hana hadn't known, that a significant fraction of the Nexari scientific community had been advocating for revised contact protocols. That Earth showed unique potential among developing worlds. That the enforced isolation was as harmful to the Nexari as it was to humans. "We have grown stagnant in our certainty," Day explained. "Our collective consciousness now echoes the same thoughts without challenge or growth." Other ships appeared in the sky above. More scientists, more supporters of change. Director Sung looked up, realizing he was outnumbered. "The council will never approve open contact," he insisted. "Perhaps not today," Day agreed. "But we propose a middle path. A small exchange program, limited sharing of knowledge, carefully monitored interactions." Hana felt Tae's hand find hers in the gathering darkness. "And those already contaminated?" Sung asked, looking at their joined hands with distaste. "Will be the bridges between our worlds," Day answered. As the standoff continued into the night, more humans gathered at the edges of the field, drawn by the lights and strange vessels. The secret was already spreading beyond any possibility of containment. Hana stepped forward, her voice clear in the night air. "They warned me never to speak with humans," she said, looking directly at Director Sung. "But I did. And in doing so, I found not just Tae but my own voice. The future remained uncertain. The path forward would be difficult. But as the two species faced each other under Earth's stars, something new had begun.